mercenaries and partnering with missionaries.
Right.
You see, this partnership, this idea of this ministering, the fellowship of this ministering to the saints, this idea that me and the Apostle Paul can hold hands and whatever missionary you're support, the idea that we can work together to go help those saints, to see some of those sinners get saved, he's going to need ministered to. And it's not just financial.
Right.
Come on. You see, finances gets them there for sure. All right, they need to raise their support, no doubt about it. But listen to me, the sports want to come, the sports want to go. By the way, I just read a stat earlier this week that missionaries in 5 years on the field, if they're overseas, lose 25% of their support in 5 years. That's the average. So, listen, what happened? Well, did the missionaries quit? No, they were on the field for 5 years. But somebody's dropping the ball about 25% worth, right? What a shame that is. These missionaries that have left behind homes and left behind lands and left behind family and said, I'll be in subjection to the gospel. They get there under the idea that these churches have partnered with me. They won't forget me. They'll help me. They'll minister to me. And they get there and they're by themselves.
Sure.
And they don't hear a word.
Come on.
They don't know you exist. You listen. We're going to go through. We're going to build on this. All right. You go through and start reading Pauline letters, and look at how many people the Apostle Paul names personally in each one of those letters. All these different churches, and Paul starts naming them all. This one helped me here. This one helped me here. This one's working in this ministry. This one's working in this ministry. Listen, the list goes on and on. Every letter he writes, he's calling people by name. Listen to me. The question was asked earlier, you got 9 missionaries, can you name them? Listen to me, you got 9 missionaries, can they name you? Do they know you exist? Listen, this is serious stuff. Because the reason, number one reason why missionaries are coming off the field is because they're alone. They're depressed out there. It's hard working. I mean, they're in a culture that doesn't want to accept them. They're with the people that doesn't want to accept them. And the churches that they thought were partnering with them are all of a sudden falling off. Every month they go by and they see the statements come in, and it's less, and it's less, and it's less, and they don't even know what happened. You try to stay under those circumstances.
Come on.
Rough.
Yes, sir.
It's rough. Can I tell you, you learn to minister to these sowers. The Bible says you do it because it multiplies your seed. Right, so there's a ministry that's necessary for the sower. And when you take care of the sower, he is able to have more seed and able to keep sowing. Right? When you minister seed to the sower. It gives him more to do. He gives him the courage to do it. It gives him the hope to do it. He says, no matter what happens, there's Victorious Life Baptist Church, and they're praying for me, they're helping me, they're supporting me, they're dependent on me to do my labor here and labor for the sake of the gospel. And I know they're laboring back in Shelbyville, Indiana, for the sake of the gospel. And as long as I know they keep going, I'll keep going too. And there's much zeal, and they're provoking me, and they're going out with that seed, and they're sowing. And they'll keep on going. Listen to me. You know what that does? Well, you got 9 missionaries. That means that you get to multiply by 9. That's what that means. That means you're not just sowing seed in Shelbyville, Indiana. That means you're sowing seed here and there. That means times 9 the gospel seed is going out. And listen to me. You're to be under subjection to that gospel. I mean, you're making sure you're doing everything you can that the gospel gets out, that the gospel not be hindered, that the gospel not be slowed down. That, listen to me, you're making sure that that sower has got what he needs, that he can live of the gospel, be in subjection to the gospel. I like this idea of multiplication. I love it.
Sure.
I mean, the Lord could have just said addition, right? But multiplication is wonderful. I mean, let's get it out there. Multiply that seed sown. So here is the idea, right? We need to minister to these sowers. We need to make sure that we're doing all. Listen to me. There's saints over there that's dependent on us. Churches and people and lost and saved alike. There's countries and there's people groups and They're dependent on us. We got a ministry. We need to be in subjection to the gospel. Look what he says here. He gives us a few things at the end of the chapter. And listen to me, this is a marker of a successful mission program. You ready? Listen to me. Not once is sinners named, and not once is a number given on the amount of souls that all won. Look what he says. This is what he says here. First of all, in verses number 11 through 13, he talks about rejoicing from the sower and the saints. He says, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us, look at that, he's used the word us, both of us. He says, thanksgiving to God. Look at verse 12. And for the administration of this service not only supply the one of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God. Verse 13, while by the experiment of this ministration they glorify God. Preacher, I give the missions, and I like giving the mission, but I don't get a thank you. I didn't get a pat on the back. It just seems like it's not even worth it. I mean, you think they'd appreciate it a little bit more. Can I tell you something? It's not your gospel.
Yeah.
You're in subjection to the gospel. It's Christ's gospel.
That's right.
And when they see the missionary, if the seeds get sowed, their needs are being met. They've been praying that God meet their needs. They look up to heaven and they say, thank God He met my needs. And maybe, just maybe, they look up to heaven and say, thank God for the Glorious Life Baptist Church who helped my needs to be met. Missionary church that comes up. Listen to me, friend. You ought not do it for a prideful, arrogant way of looking for some kind of credit. Listen, it ain't at all. Listen to me. Can I just tell you something?
Come on.
I don't really care how many gospel tracts you hand out. I just care that you handed them out.
Hey.
Listen to me. I got...
Come on.
Something rubs me the wrong way. When I see people that'll point to notches on their Bible covers and on their belts, and they'll say, look what I did, and look what I did, and look what I did. Can I tell you what they did? They gave them the gospel of Christ, and Christ saved them.
Amen.
You're all right with that? Can I tell you what you did? Little to nothing. You just did one thing. You obeyed.
Yes.
You obeyed the gospel of Christ that you are in subjection to. And if you're in subjection to it, then it's His credit.
That's right.
It's His name.
Yep.
It's His word. It's His preeminence. It's His thanksgiving. It don't have to be me.
Come on.
Listen to me. Can I tell you something? I love coming over to Glorious Life Baptist Church. Oftentimes, I'll refer to that. That's Brother Hitler's church. I'm sure Brother Hitler will talk about the Russian Baptist Company. He said, it's Brother Rich church. Can I tell you something? It's really not.
Right.
Christ loved the church and gave Himself forward.
That's right.
Amen. I just get to lead it along for a little while with the Lord's help. Amen. That's right. Listen to me. These missionaries, wonderful. You ought to know their names. You ought to pray for them. Listen to me. That's Christ's gospel ministry. We just got ministry to the saints. We got ministry to the sowers. This successful ministry will have much rejoicing. I've always wondered what it's going to be like when we finally do get together, right? And all these missionaries we supported, all the early ministries, churches been planting villages and people groups. Some people groups said, you got a Bible translator on your mission. Well, praise God. Somebody's going to get a Bible that has never had it in their life before. Can you imagine that? As a result of that ministry. That's wonderful. I wonder what heaven's going to be like when somebody receives those Bibles and you get up there and, boy, the Lord says, you don't know this, but I received many thanksgivings as a result of your faithful mission to Him. As a result of you being faithful, the ministry, your subjection to the gospel, there was many thanksgivings and glory given to me because of your obedience. Listen, it is much rejoicing. The Bible also tells us there's remembering from the sower and the saints. In verse number 14, he says, and by their prayer. They're rejoicing to God. They're thanking God and building the ministry in their prayers. Lord, help them. Because if you help them, they'll help us.
Amen.
Back here earlier in the chapter, God said in verse number 8, God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always, having all sufficiencies in all things, may abound to every good. And there's some missionaries, some saint out there. Lord, take care of Victorious Life Baptist Church. You help them, they're helping us. Oh, that's wonderful. They rejoice about from the sower and the saints. They're remembering from the sower, but there's also this relationship. At the end of verse 14, he says this, by the prayers of you, he says, watch this, which there ought to be a relationship with them. They ought to get used to seeing Victorious Life Baptist Church come in their mailboxes and their emails, across their cell phones. They ought to get used to seeing Victorious Life Baptist Church and have a desire. I can't wait. Listen, they may, some missionaries, you talk to them, most of them, if they're honest with you, they don't really want to leave the field. Most of them don't. They'll go on furlough and they don't want to leave the field, but they'll say something like, you know, I'd rather be there, but I want to come by and see you. Boy, you won't even have to call them and see if you can schedule a call with you.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back in the States when we come by. We just want to see the church again and thank them and tell them what all God's done because of their faithfulness. There's a longing after them. Except for the exceeding, watch this, grace of God in you. It's a full circle, you know that, right? They're praying, they're asking the Lord to help you, and this grace of God is given to you that you have sufficiency in all things, and that grace is being given as you support missionaries and as you give for faith promise, and that grace goes to the missionary, and then that grace goes to the saint, and then that grace goes back up to God. Thank you, Lord, take care of them, and that grace comes back down. It's a full circle of grace.
Right.
That's a wonderful thing. Listen to me. Subjection to the gospel. Let me ask you a question. Are you in subjection to the gospel ministry? I'm not asking you if you're saved necessarily. If you're not saved, you need to be. Amen. All right, no arguing that at all. But I'm not here tonight to try to be evangelistic. I'm trying to serve you for missions tonight.
Amen.
Are you in subjection to the gospel ministry? Is it on your mind all the time? I mean, does it rule your heart? Do you go through your day, Lord, what can I do for the gospel's sake today? Who can I talk to? Lord, can you send in a little extra money that I can help in that ministry and help with that missionary and help take care of those saints? Lord, if you send that great send to me, Lord, I'll make sure it goes to them. Is it in your prayer life as you get in the closet, Lord, help these missionaries and help these dear sowers and these dear saints, and Lord, help me to be that minister that helps them along. You know there can't be a ministering without a minister, right? You realize that?
Come on.
They need you. They need you way worse than you know. Because listen to me, I'm going to just tell you. They're not deceptive. They're not going to lie to you. But they're also not going to put in their prayer letter, I'm depressed. I'm lonely.
That's true.
I wish somebody would write me. I wish somebody talked to me. I wish somebody prayed for me. I wish they'll write to you and they'll tell you what they're doing and how they're living. And then most missionaries I talk to, they have no idea if anybody reads letters. They send them out by email, they send them a letter, and they never get a reply. I had a missionary come by this past Sunday, the rest of the Baptist, I'm closing tonight, I promise. I had a missionary come by who supported him for several years. And I'm not going to mention his name. His name because he after the service. He's working in a little bit of security issues there. So, but he come by and he said, Brother Red, he said, I want to tell you something. He said, you are the only church amongst my supporters that I hear from on a regular basis. He said, you're the only one that I hear from more than at least once a week.
Wow.
Shame on us. You mean we're leaving missionaries out there serving in dangerous countries? And they don't even know anybody's name? Listen, he told me that I'm the only pastor, he writes and puts his email in and sends his letter. I'm the only pastor amongst the supporting pastors that will reply to it. And just by saying, thank you for the update, I'll be sure to be praying about these. I'm going to let my church know what's going on. You know how long that takes me? About 30 seconds.
Wow.
But who's going to minister to the soul?
Right.
Are we in subjection to the gospel that much that we actually care about the soul? I'm going to try my best to help you over this next one. Brother Hittner's asked me to do so. To try to give you some things. How can I minister to these souls? What can I do? I was very broad tonight. Right? We want to come down, we want to get more narrow and pointed over these next few weeks and talk about different things, different ways we can do. Listen to me, it is the church's responsibility. You voted to partner with that mission. Partnership requires effort from two. A partnership, we're laborers together with God. Right? Our churches have got this Paul and Apollos mindset. I'm Apollos, and boy, we're lone rangers, right? We're just going to do it. Well, that's their ministry. That's what they're doing. I'm not worried about it. I just send them a check. Listen to me. I've said this to my church members. We need to go beyond the check. The check's just a sign. We do need to send financial support. But listen to me, that financial support's not doing them any good. They're discouraged, depressed, weeping to God, wishing that somebody would.
Yeah.
Dude, they could be making 200% support and come home depressed. We need help. Tonight, listen, tonight, I know you support 9 missionaries. I'm looking at 2 front rows full of missionaries. You know what? Those are so. Preacher, we can't afford to support them all. That's fine. Can you pray for them all? Could you maybe even just write them notes? I remember when you come out of church, I thought you wanted to bring it up. We can do more than what we're doing. We really can. I want you to just get this thought in your mind. How can I help the soul? How can I serve the soul? How can I minister to the soul? When we get this idea in our head, you'll find ways. God will show you ways. You might find ways when you come back and say, Brother Red, you ever thought about this? I said, no, it's a brilliant idea. Thank you, Joe. Now, right? Words be mine. Amen. Let's all stand tonight.